All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along to this panel discussion on Thursday night. Thank you for giving up your time to come and be with us and share your thoughts. It's cool to have everyone here. This is kind of a discussion that I'm personally pretty passionate about, but I know all of you must be as well to be here and okay, I'm going to try and not go on about this, but spending your evening with us, it's great to have you all here. So my name is Stephen. I am one of the co-chairs of the Sticks and Stones board at the moment. I've been a part of Sticks and Stones for about 5 years now. I love the work that we do, and because yeah, I guess like bullying impacts so many lives right across the country, world, and it's not even just in schools. It's across all generations, I guess, and it often kind of goes unrecognized, and the effects of it can be quite profound on the victims. And the effects of that can be long term. So I really believe in the bullying prevention work that we do, and I'm constantly surprised at the amazing work of Carla and the rest of the team. It's just great to see what they're doing every day. So a little bit about me. I've just recently moved back down to Invercargill. I've just been living up in Dunedin for a few years studying. My background is in law and psychology, and I think it kind of that background fits pretty well with the work that we're doing. And I guess the work that I've been involved with Sticks and Stones has kind of influenced the pathway I've taken. So, yeah. So as an organisation, Sticks and Stones has organised this gathering, and we've brought together some very inspirational voices that we've got here tonight. And I hope that we're kind of going to be able to get a wide range of views from you all. I'm really excited, and we've had almost a very similar panel discussion with a youth adjacent people on Tuesday night. So it'll be quite cool after this to be able to compare the responses, I think. I'm predicting there's going to be a lot of themes between the two, but I'm sure there'll be some differences and we can all learn from each other. So the topic of this discussion is what steps are needed for Aotearoa to be bullying free, and what needs to change to meet that. All right, so before I get into introducing our amazing panel here, I thought we'd kick off this meeting with a karakia, and I'm going to pass it over to Jason.
Kia ora, Stephen. Timata ake au me te karakia. Whakatakatehau ki te uru, whakatakatehau ki te tonga, kia mākina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai. He hiake ana te atākura, he tio, he huka, he hauhunga, ti hei, mauri ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'll just now quickly introduce all of our panel. I'm most definitely going to miss half of the amazing stuff that all of you do. So once I've introduced you, I'll pass it over to you to finish it off, I guess. Yeah. So first up, I'm going to jump back to Jason. So Jason is currently in year 13 and is a deputy head girl at you're at high school, aren't you, Jason? Oh, of course. Yes. Sorry. You're in, yeah. So Jason believes that everyone deserves to be their authentic self and feel safe to do so. Jason provided me with a whakatauki that she lives by, and I think it's really great. So I'm going to actually share this. So, Manaki te tangata ahoka koubai. And this translates to care for everyone, no matter who they are. Yeah, so I'll pass it over to you, Jason. Do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Stefan. The whakatauki that I chose, I just live by it. I feel like everybody should be equal. And we shouldn't be judged, I guess. Yeah. That's my cordial. Thank you.
Yeah. I thought that, sorry, I shared that whakatauki on your behalf. I read that and it really kind of resonated with me. So I was like, this is really cool. It needs to be shared. So next up, we've got Matt. So Matt is currently living in Wellington, working in human resources at NZQA. So Matt has also provided me with a quote, and again, I'm sorry if I don't do this justice, but I thought that this quote really represented why we're all here today, and so I thought I'd just quickly read it out. So Matt says, "I'm passionate about bullying prevention because people are their best selves when they feel confident and respected. Bullying is something that undermines confidence, particularly in young people, and so to prevent bullying is to enable people to realize their full potential. Multiply that by 5 million people and bullying-free Aotearoa, New Zealand starts to look like a pretty incredible place." Yeah, that's a great quote, Matt. So yeah, thank you. Do you have anything to add to your introduction?
Yeah, kia ora, Stephen. Great to be here, whānau. Yeah, that quote, I feel like it partners with Jason's whakatauki as well, like care for all. We've talked a lot about this team of 5 million in another context, but what does this team of 5 million standing up against bullying look like? And that is something that gets me super excited about where we could be moving towards for our young people, for our workplaces, our schools, our communities. That's where my passion is. Ka pai.
Thank you. Yeah, that's yeah, exactly what I said before. It's why we're all here today. So yeah, I feel like it'll be a shared opinion amongst everyone. So thank you. All right, next on my list, we've got Hamish. So Hamish was born and raised in Southland, and I mean, I could probably stop the introduction there. That's pretty awesome in itself. But yeah, just I'm probably a bit biased on that, but Hamish is a young policy analyst with a passion for social justice, and he's got a background in anthropology and political science. You were just mentioning before as well, I believe you just completed your master's in international relations. So yeah. So that's awesome. Hamish's vision for the future of young people in New Zealand is that they grow up in a more equitable country where systemic failures don't impede their ability to thrive. Again, that's just so true, Hamish. So yeah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that just one of the things that's really important to me is something that I was taught from very young, which is just do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's just the idea of just everybody is equal. We live in a democracy. Everybody should be treated equally, but unfortunately that's not the case. And so obviously we're here to discuss what we can do about that.
Perfect. Yeah. So next up we've got Abby. So Abby is a fellow Sticks and Stones member, and I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that she is one of the backbones of the organisation, one of the pieces of the spine, I guess you could say. Yeah, she does amazing work for Sticks and Stones, and I think it just reflects who she is as a person as well. So Abby is currently in her last year of studying nursing in Dunedin. bullying prevention is important to her because she believes that no one should ever have to feel worthless and unaccepted. And she wants, and she wants to help create a more positive environment for young people in New Zealand. Abby has a vision for young people in New Zealand to live in a world that is accepting and non-judgmental. She wants them to feel comfortable about being themselves without the threat of harm or social exclusion because of it. That's just awesome, Abby. Do you have anything to add to your introduction?
Kia ora. No, that's great, Stephen. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here chatting with all of you guys tonight. So yeah, thanks.
Awesome. So next up, we've got Hannah. Hannah is a scout located in Dunedin. She's still at high school. And Hannah says that bullying prevention is important to her because she has been through it herself, understands the experiences that victims go through, and she doesn't want anyone else to go through that same experience. It's so true, Hannah. Yeah. So Hannah is also on the Youth Advisory Board. I thought maybe you could explain a little bit about the board and your position, your role on that board.
Okay. Pretty much the board is discussing plans for the future for future jamborees and youth in general. We design badges and we do lots to try and help out with the Scouts community and help everything, make it easier and stuff. And my position in that is I'm the secretary and I organize the meetings and take notes.
Awesome. I've seen a bit of work that you guys do as well. It's amazing the stuff that comes out of the advisory board, but Scouts in general as well. What year are you at high school, Hannah?
I'm year 9.
Oh wow. Yeah. Cool. It's great to have you here. And lastly, we've got V. So V is currently working for Aotearoa, sorry, and she's contributing to the amazing work that they do. And she wears many other hats, which she was telling us about before. But I thought I'd pass it over to you to finish them off.
Shot, bro. Kia ora, everyone. That's tuning in. Ko vai anka ko left tōku ingoa, also known as Vai. Yes, I wear multiple hats, but I just wanted to say I also, my wire with anti-bullying is everything everyone else just said. That was so great. I forgot to put that into my bio. So definitely what everyone else has said. And yeah, I'm excited to be here as well at Te Whānau. I do wear many other hats as well, but I mahi also at Aotearoa College as Aspirations Navigator, and Jason is our Deputy Head Girl. So that's what I will say from me. Kia ora.
Perfect. Thank you. And Vi also gave me a wee quote to say, so I'll just read that out as well. I like the truth behind it, this quote. Yeah. So Vi believes that bullying is just straight up nasty and unnecessary. Like, that's awesome. She believes that there are so many layers to bullying, and she believes it raises more questions internally about how we can better support rangatahi who become the perpetrator, and how we can better understand what is going on in their te ao, so we can make more informed decisions about bullying prevention. Vi believes that our youth are the leaders of tomorrow, and that is her vision for the future of New Zealand. It's an amazing quote. I completely agree with you there, Vi. So thank you for that.
Kia ora, bro. That's trademarked now.
Cool. So thank you, everyone. So that's our panel for this evening. We were just talking about this before the discussion started, but I was remembering back to Tuesday night's panel. And in that panel we had Emma Sidham, Sydney, sorry for the pronunciation there. And she performed a spoken word poem for us. Now, I'm gutted that we don't have her here tonight, but I'd highly recommend that if you hadn't seen that, there's a recording of the meeting on YouTube, so please do go watch that. It was pretty powerful, to be honest. Yeah. Anyway, I've probably rambled for enough now. So it's about time we kind of get into our discussion. And I'm going to moderate this by asking each of the questions. We've got, so I'll give each of the panelists an opportunity to respond to these, and then depending on time, we've got a couple of long format questions, and I'll ask these to everyone. Then we've got some rapid fire questions, and these will come after the long format ones, and I'll pick on people and we'll go through them. So first question is, Aotearoa has the highest rate of school bullying and the second highest rate of workplace bullying in the OECD. Why do you think that is? And I thought I might go to Hamish to start that off, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I tend to look at things from quite a structural lens, and I think it does begin right at the beginning of Aotearoa as a colonized nation. And we actually began as a very othering society. Māori were othered from the point of colonization. And that has continued as we try to forge our own identity as a nation. Leading on from Te Tiriti, we always try to forge our own identity, and what actually ends up happening is when other cultures come in, or when other cultures are here, dominant cultures just tend to become, how would you say this? Othering. That's really what it is. And so what you end up with is a society in which anybody who is different, who is not the majority, becomes othered, and it becomes easy to pick on them. And there are obviously a huge amount of other structural issues which are causing this. But I think that if we start from the beginning, it's a really important way to put it in perspective.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. Thank you for that, Hamish. It really does kind of go, it's not a surface level problem. It goes a lot deeper, and we've got to really dig down to that root cause to make changes, I guess. Yeah. I might throw it over to you, Vi, if that's all right.
I totally agree with what Hamish has said. I was just like, oh, am I going to bring up the colonized word? 110% agree with what you're saying, though, Hamish. I think it's reflected in our kura as well, AJ.
Yeah.
We see it in school, we see it in the workplace, we see it how, like, we feel it. And it all stems back to mai rano, all the way back in the day. Did you want to chime in? What about you?
I just think that Aotearoa has a judgmental culture. Yeah, we just can't see other people being better than us.
No.
Yeah, that's all I
like tall poppy syndrome stuff, eh?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, me and Jason were having a kōrero today about one of her friend dynamic groups and how, right.
It could be your own friends talking about you behind your back, or just
people that are meant to have your back.
Yeah. People that are meant to have your back talking behind it.
But
we do. Yeah, we have a culture in New Zealand, I think. People have that desire to fit in. I don't know, like their own insecurities and things tend to come out a little bit. And they tend to bring others down, I think. I see it in so many different places. And I think if change is going to happen, that culture needs to be adjusted significantly.
Did you have anything to add to that, Matt?
Oh man, this is such a good discussion already. I'm one to agree with all parts. Something else I was thinking of when Hamish and Bo were just talking was our geographical location doesn't help us. We are a small island nation in the corner of the world, and so diversity, inclusion isn't really something we've had to front up to in the same way that like some countries in Europe and Asia do, where you've got countries all around you and people of different beliefs and skin colors and all of that. We haven't had to front up to that. And even the kōrero around tall poppy syndrome, absolutely agree. The other thing that I think is a real challenge in the space now where we're trying to start to call out these things and call bullying for what it is our she'll be right attitude, where like someone will bring it up and then you'll be like, oh no, they didn't mean it like that. It's not really bullying. You're like, oh, we'll never get to a better place if we don't stand firm and call bullying for what it is and not minimize it, I guess, with a she'll be right attitude.
Yeah, that's great. Hannah, did you have anything to add to that this conversation, or did you have your own thoughts? Like we don't have to always flow on from each other, but
everyone's conversations are so good, and they've all said what I've really wanted to say. Like, I feel like it's very judgmental in New Zealand, especially in my school. Lots of people judge each other, and it's just, and they're not really new to like diversity and different things like that. And so it gets kind of awkward and kind of bullying when someone is different in that way. Mainly it.
This is kind of like a sub question for everyone, but it flows on from kind of what we were talking about, and probably what you were just saying, Hannah. But I know when I was at school, I always used to think that bullying was something that would only happen at school, and that you'd kind of grow out of it as you got older and more mature and things. But these statistics are like showing that that's not the case, especially in New Zealand. And yeah, does anyone have any thoughts on that? I know I haven't really asked a question here, but yeah.
I think you're right. It continues right through. It's like a human thing almost, not just like a child like playground kind of thing. And I think one of the issues, again, sort of why New Zealand has it so bad is there's such a lack of diversity in, I guess, the people who are in those powerful positions enough to make changes or introduce initiatives or programs or things that are designed to try and improve the space. And when there's a lack of diversity in those sort of top levels, it doesn't sort of filter down. I think that's probably a key thing as well.
Yeah.
Can I jump in with a question for everyone? E te whānau, I'm dying to know if you reckon it's important for young people themselves, if we're talking about the statistics around bullying that takes place in schools, how important do you reckon it is for young people to be kind of involved in the answers, in the solutions, and the design of things that might be put in place to try to stop or shift or change or unmake these phenomena? Very important, not important at all, like essential, just even a quick fire, like, yeah. Love to hear
I'll say it's super essential. Young people have to be at the heart of it. You get a bunch of youth adjacent older people and task them with trying to improving New Zealand's bullying situation. They'll come from a point of what their adult bullying, workplace bullying, which still 100% exists, but is different to the challenges our young people are facing. And so our young people know those challenges, and so they've got to be right in there leading that discussion.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. It's one of those things where you can't make policy for a particular subsection of society without consulting them or having them as a major part of the decision-making process, because you're just going to end up having to remake the system again and again and again.
I agree. That's why I'm here. I mean, Sticks and Stones has, it is youth-led, it's youth for youth. And I think that's one of the key things that I've been a part of over the last few years, and I will champion that forever. Because the change that I've seen from young people having a seat at the table, basically, and being listened to and being acknowledged and having an authentic role in making change has been incredible. And yeah, I've seen that myself, and I think that it's so powerful.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, it's again, it goes to the heart of what kind of Sticks and Stones is, and yeah, being a part of that, I kind of yeah, I've seen how it works, and Carla's just said in our chat what I'm just trying to think of, but if it's about us without if it's about us without us, it's not for us. And I guess that really sums it up. Yeah. Cool. Was there any other thoughts, or Anya, do you have any other questions kind of related to this?
No, not really, but I think I just noticed the first kind of divergent whakaaro from the panel that we had with adults on Tuesday. The need for young people to be right at the center of the design, like that's such gold that you have generated in the discussion so far. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll hand that ako back to you, Ehua, Stephen.
Can I just jump in and just make a comment on what you've just said? I totally agree with young people being at the forefront of it, but just not tokenistically. So like, how is this actually done by adults that are wanting to do it in a non-tokenistic way? So agree, I totally agree, but just not in a tokenistic way. Kia ora.
Yeah. I think this is kind of covered by you guys as well, but I think it goes a bit wider than even just these conversations we're having tonight. It's just good practice, really. Like, yeah, like what Hamish was saying, you can't make rules for someone or make programs or anything if you haven't experienced it yourself, or if you're not coming from that same kind of point of view. And then, exactly as I was saying, it can't be tokenistic either. Like, it's yeah, you might have the representation there, but if it doesn't mean anything, then it's not going to be successful. So yeah, cool. Well, I might jump on to the second question here. So in New Zealand, people who are seen as different are overrepresented in bullying. Often the difference relates to sexuality, race, religion, or ability/disability, among other things. What changes are needed to shift or to prevent this? So I thought I might jump to you, Abby, if that's all right.
Yeah, I think like as we sort of said, New Zealand, there's this culture, we tend to be afraid of things that we don't know, or of, if someone is different. Some people, it can be frightening, I guess. But I think what's important is that we normalize difference. You can learn so much from people that have a different perspective to you, and it just breaking that down, and yeah, like my ideal world would just be that everyone is so accepting of one another. And I think for that to happen, we need to be more open to other people's perspectives and more accepting of others. I think that is so important.
Matt, did you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, absolutely tautoko with what Abby has said. I think one of the challenges is, how do you create those moments for encounter? So like, I never studied psychology, but I'm loosely aware of the idea that you're attracted to people like yourself. You walk into a room with 100 people, you'll probably end up chatting to the people who are most like yourself. And so how do we take ourselves out of that zone, meet more people, more diverse people, not like ourselves, hear about their experience in the world? I think back to some of the work I was doing before I came to Wellington, and I got to work with a whole bunch of young people in their first year of university at residential colleges. And often, and I won't say always, those were an awesome place to celebrate the differences. People come from all over the country, and even international students. You just come in and you celebrate it, and someone might do an international performance at dinner one night or whatever. And it was just things like that that kind of normalized difference. Like, oh, I don't know how to do a Samoan dance. I don't have any Samoan in me. But it was absolutely awesome to see people being absolutely passionate about who they are, where they've come from, what's important to their culture. So, like, how do you make that normal? I don't know, but I think that's a real key to sort of getting further along the journey.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, it's a question which I don't have the answer for. Someone here might have some thoughts, but yeah, it's a tough one. I guess it's something that we've all got to be open to, but actually having those opportunities is a whole nother thing as well. And I also think it's something that you don't really know what you're missing until you have it. So yeah, it's I was trying to think of an analogy, but I can't. Yeah, you're really trying to find the way in the dark almost. Yeah. Hannah, did you have any thoughts on this question?
I think that if people were more, I know this is such an obvious answer, but if people were more including, and if people were more confident about themselves, and then we could get it to be different, because more people would be able to be like, this isn't different anymore, it's normal, and more people are free to be themselves and not confined in a little bubble where they feel like they can't be themselves and they have to be this person that they are not. I guess that's it.
That's fantastic. And that actually 100% just shows the reason why young people have to be at the heart of that. Because here I am giving a almost youth adjacent perspective, but what you've just said, Hannah, is absolutely just the heart of it. Often I think that that's what young people bring to the table. Young people bring this unadulterated, just pure view of calling things for how it is. I think that was awesome. 100% agree.
Any other whakaaro that people would like to share?
I just want to talk, like, there's one of the primary schools in Alexandria has recently, like this week for Bully Free New Zealand Week, have done an amazing project where they've looked at a bit of an analogy with crayons, and you think, you got a box of crayons, right? You want one of every color to make the coolest picture. It's boring if you have every single crayon is green. And they did this beautiful artistic, really unique crayon designs, and they've put them all up the windows of their school to show to the town as they drive past. So I think that's, yeah, just one example sort of how we can promote diversity, and it's cool to be different, and yeah.
I think promoting that really I think promoting being different is actually cool, and celebrating kind of all the we're all different, and celebrating that fact is it'll go a long way, I think, to reaching these goals and building acceptance, I guess. So yeah, sorry, I just had to step out there for a minute. Have you had any thoughts on this, Hamish? Or, I apologise if you've already.
No, you're all good. I actually had some technical issues of my own for a second, so I just caught the end of Abby's answer, and I really tautoko there. It's really, really important. I think that one of the things that I wanted to talk about on this question was the idea of ontological security, which is just a fancy way of saying being secure within yourself and your own identity. So obviously we're seeing a very high prevalence of mental health issues within rangatahi, and that goes for both sides of being the bully and the person who is being bullied. Bullying can cause these mental health issues, or it can be a trigger for them. But also mental health issues are one of the things that's driving bullying. It goes back to this thing that my boss actually told me the other day, was hurt people hurt people. There are issues at home which often lead to things being taken out on other people at school or in the playground or elsewhere. So these are the sort of root causes that need to be looked at, and if there's a happy and accepting home behind somebody, they're less likely to pick on other people for their differences. And if they're secure within their own identity in a healthy way, they're much less likely to take offense to somebody else's identity and to make them feel bad about it. And so this is mental health support. It's having a reduction in wealth inequality within Aotearoa. This is all very, very intersectional, and all of it is super important for us to have an equal society, and for people, young people especially, to not be experiencing bullying.
Yeah. That was a great answer. It's so insightful. So thank you for kind of sharing that. Were there any kind of replies to Hamish, or any other comments on this question? That's all right. I think that was a perfect way to kind of end that, and transition into the next question. So I'm just wary of time, but I'm going to very quickly kind of bring up this. We had a third question here. What changes are needed to reduce the number of young people experiencing bullying at school and in our communities? And I thought I might start with your opinions, Jason, if that's all right.
Sorry, what was the question?
We're having I think our internet's a bit laggy.
Yeah.
That's okay. So the question is, what changes are needed to reduce the number of young people experiencing bullying at school and in our communities?
I feel like as staff at Kura should make connections with the rangatahi to feel comfortable enough to speak about bullying. So they have a safe space to speak about how they feel, and Do
you have anything to add to that? Sorry. Add to that, Vi? Yeah.
All good. I totally agree with what Jason said as well. On a separate note, I also think in regards to changes that need to be made, it's like call out our politicians, call out our government, call them out for what are they doing, what should they be doing, what have they promised us, but also like I think it's about looking at how, I know I'm going to bring up colonization again, but that's still really prevalent within the government. We see it on the media. We see that reflected from the people that are creating the decisions in our country in Aotearoa. And we already see tauiwi politicians talking about how they don't want to have matariki. And then we already have this kind of disjointedness within our government. So how can we actually fix that so that we feel comfortable in Aotearoa? Because I don't feel comfortable knowing that that's going on at that level. So how are we even going to be able to sustain and create proper change if it's not reflected at that level, like te tiriti?
Yeah.
That's my kōrero.
Yeah. So I might jump back to you again, Jason. Did you have anything else to add to that, or no worries if you don't? But
I'm just gonna go back to what I said with the the staff making that connection with the rangatahi, because we have aspiration navigators at school like Vi and my mum. They're really good at making those connections where rangatahi feels safe to go and speak about problems they have, or even with our counsellor, she has a lot of students just going in, maybe not for the right reasons, but they just have a safe space to go to when they're at school, feeling down or whatever. Yeah.
And I guess that also just reflects, that grassroots stuff that's happening. And if, our government and our politicians want to roll up and actually see what's going on, and they want to be skilled and they want to learn how to connect with our rangatahi better, it's going on down at that grassroots level. So like show up, come and connect with us kanohi ki te kanohi, and don't just, create these wild initiatives without actually being informed from the ground. But yeah.
No, that's great. Sorry,
I might jump onto that whakaaro. I'm going to steal someone's words and paraphrase them, and I don't know who they are, but it's something like, we'll never reach our loftiest ambitions. We fall to the brokenness of our systems and structures. And so, like, while it's nice to have these high-flying ambitions, it was sort of what Vi was touching on there. If government systems policies don't support the grassroots frontline connection with our young people, then we're sort of doomed to fail from the start. And even then, sort of tying back to the previous question on people seen as different being overrepresented, a whole lot of our systems are built for Pakeha, heteronormative young people. And so how do our systems just enable absolutely everyone to be who they are and come into that safe space? I think that was a real good point that you're raising, Jason, that like young people just they need that safe space if we're going to progress in this this conversation about preventing bullying. Without a safe space, our young people aren't going to come talk to us.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I think that's such an important point. Like schools are they're doing what they can, but they're saying that they're running all these initiatives and doing things to try and improve bullying statistics, really. But I wonder how many have actually sat down with the young people who are involved and who are having these lived experiences of bullying, and how many have actually sat down and spoken with them and asked, like, what is it that actually needs to change? Like, what can we do to support you? Because I think schools are needing to seek feedback from those involved, and I think that's key to the whole process.
Yeah. That's great. Were there any other thoughts to this question, Hannah, or what are your experiences at school that you think could what could be improved at school to make these kind of safe spaces?
My school's pretty good with all of this stuff because we have a anti-bullying set up. So twice a week we go to a class which has an anti-bullying and learn about that. And then we also have the guidance counselors and other things like that. So my school's pretty good with that, but I still think that they could do more because I feel like, especially people in my year, they don't really want to go to the guidance counselor because they feel like they can't trust them. Sort of like they don't feel safe going without knowing that they might tell their parents or something like that. They just want to like go to a safe place. But I feel like we could definitely maybe make it instead of two days a week to 3 days or something like that. So it's definitely more inclusiveness.
It's really cool to hear that your school's got those kind of initiatives implemented, but yeah, I think there's always going to be more to do, and I think it does kind of come back to that. It's got to be a safe space, and that safe space should be everywhere. Yeah. Vi, did you have something to say? Jason?
Yeah. Just going back to Hannah's kōrero, with all the programs they have, that's amazing. Our kura, we're decile 2, so we're quite poor. We don't really get as much people or money. We don't have as much money as other kura that can provide those kind of services for us. So that'll be good to see our school have some of those as well.
Definitely, and like I think especially with the education system, I've only worked in the education system for 6 months, so if anybody, don't quote me on this, but I do know that the funding wise for extra staffing and stuff, it goes by your roles, and how many rangatahi are on your roles, and quite frankly we don't have the rangatahi at our school, but what we do have is the context that these rangatahi have a really hard life. So we still deal with, you know, even though we have a small role of about 300 rangatahi, one kid's problems could be equivalent to 10, but we don't have enough kaimahi or po, like our deputy head girl, to awhi to our kids.
We try, but there's not many of us, so there's not much support, I guess.
So
it's almost kind of like
that's so.
Oh, sorry. It's almost kind of like
all good, Steve.
It's almost kind of like the whole access to justice, but in an anti-bullying kind of way. It's you got to have the resources to achieve what you're wanting to achieve, and everyone should have access to that. It shouldn't be there should be no barriers to accessing that. No, that's a great point. Sorry, were there any other burning points? But
I just wanted to say I agree that completely. It's about equity. Everyone should have the opportunity to have the education and the resources available in their schools. I think in order to create a culture change, instead of being the ambulance at the bottom of the hill, we need to do education around prevention and empowering young people and teaching empathy and those social and emotional skills. It's about more than just having someone come in and deliver a guest presentation, a group assembly, like a one-off that you remember bits of, but nothing really. It's about that ongoing social learning, and that shouldn't stop. That should go right through the whole education system.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just going to smoothly transition over to the rapid fire questions. These will probably be a little bit shorter, and I might just pick on people and get your responses, but that doesn't mean that kind of discussion can't happen. I'm loving all the the discussions that are going on tonight. So please do feel free to jump in if you've got any thoughts. So the first rapid fire question that we've got is, what changes are needed to reduce the number of young people experiencing bullying at school and in our communities? And I think this kind of flows on from that last question that we're just going over. So I might pass that to you first, Hamish.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take up too much space on this one, because I know that there are people within this kōrero who are actually, within this hui, should I say, who are actually experiencing these things in the places where the bullying is occurring. I'm lucky enough to be in a very inclusive workplace and involved in areas where there is not much bullying, and so all I would say is just resource up and just tautoko what Anya said, is just resource up and give young people the safe spaces and the tools that they need to give the answers that are needed to stop the problem. Yeah.
Awesome. Via, you and Jason had some pretty cool thoughts on this before. Do you mind if I pass this back to you? Both of you there, you might have contrasting or similar opinions.
Yeah, kia ora, Stephen. Yeah, again, I think it starts with connecting with our people on the ground. Exactly what Anya said, resourcing up our kaimahi to be able to do their jobs properly, getting more kaimahi into the schools and not being just stuck within this box like, sweet, you've only got 300 kids, so you're only getting $3, like that kind of vibe. We can't be doing that stuff anymore. We're in the 21st century, I think, or the 22nd, I don't know. But, we need to be moving with the times. A lot of my teachers that I work with, they taught me in high school, like I'm acting like I'm 40, I'm actually only 23, but they taught me in high school and have been at that kura for like 20 years. And then we've got some that are have been teaching there for 10 years, and some of them aren't quite ready to change. They don't want to change. They don't want to try and accommodate our rangatahi in their learning. So I think it's just about being agile, wanting to make change, connecting with our whānau on the ground that are actually doing the mahi.
Yeah, just manakitanga overall. Yeah. Do you have anything else?
Perfect. Was there any other thoughts on this? Abby, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think most of what I said before probably covers it, like that resourcing and the prevention. I think we need to break down the culture of just, someone mentioned it earlier, that she'll be right thing. When we see bullying, it shouldn't be, oh, that's just a part of life, like everyone deals with it, get over it. Like, it should not be that. We need to develop and build a culture where it's okay to stand up and be like, actually, that's not okay. You shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't do that. And I think it should be more normalized to be able to stand up and say things like that.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Hannah, I know you had some thoughts on this before as well, and your school does some pretty cool things. But I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on maybe specific initiatives that your school could be doing to,
the bullying program is for, I think, a quarter of the year or maybe a third of the year, so that could be running through the whole year instead, and I also find that it is I just feel like they could do more, including the bullying, because the teachers do step in when they know, but they're not obvious to it unless another student complains. So they could be more obvious to it. They could try and look out for it more instead of just sitting and, like you said, the she'll be right thing, seeing it, she'll be right until a student complains or something like that.
Yeah. When a problem does come up and maybe the student complains and the teachers become aware of it, do you think they deal with it, the problem well, or is there anything there?
I'm pretty sure what they do is they just sit down and talk with the student about it, but then they don't really do much about it. They just probably inform the other teachers, and they just do a little sit down, and they don't really do much about it after that, which they could do more once they said they could like inform parents, they could try and set up a program for them, and they could give them like a detention, the person who's bullying. Like, I know this sounds like really harsh on the person who's bullying if it's just mad, but like they could give the person a detention instead of just letting them go with like saying, oh yeah, don't do this again, because that's not going to stop them from doing it again.
Yeah, so it's almost like increasing the training for teachers, and like having you guys have the program, the anti-bullying program, but having one for teachers is almost just as important. Yeah. I see I've got Hamish has his hand up here.
Yeah, just a quick thing as well. So I'll speak from experience here. I had one instance of bullying when I was in year 7, where I went to a teacher and basically said, hey, there's this going on. What can I do about it? I was really upset. And I thought that we had a really good kōrero about that. And then the next day, the same person who I was having issues with in the school said, hey, I heard you talk to such and such. And I'm like, how did you get this information? I assumed that would be a safe space for me to go. And so there needs to be more provision for areas which are safe spaces, and for kids to actually know that when they go somewhere, if they talk to a teacher, if they talk to somebody, they talk to a kaimahi in the school who's designated for that role, that it will be safe. Yeah, and that just comes down to the resourcing as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so disappointing. I'm just going to pop up and say there's a beautiful pata here from our audience who Nikki has asked if the panel think that there might be solutions that potentially sit outside of school. So is there a role for groups that you are involved with outside of school, a useful role for them to play in terms of stopping bullying, or ways that communities can help, or maybe that they need to be more aware? How do we do that, Mahi, you guys? Kaya Koto, back over to you.
I actually wonder if we go back to Hannah on this. In Scouts, do you have any thoughts on that question?
We did do a mental health bullying week the other week at Scouts, and we were discussing about mental health and how that would be affected by bullying and stuff like that. And we did also discuss Pink Shirt Day, which is coming up, which we discussed about how that affected it. And I feel like they could do more, like, I feel like they could be, because my scout leader, like, I don't feel like I could go and talk to them about anything. Like, I don't feel like I go up and say, oh yeah, such and such has been bullying me at Scouts or something like that. I don't think I could do that. But then, like, if they made a more inclusive kind of area, like, I know this sounds weird, but like at Scouts, there isn't much that they can really do, but they can include a more like talkative environment where they talk to us more and more about it, and they raise it up a couple of weeks instead of once a year, because I think this may even be the first time we've talked about it since I joined Scouts, which was a couple of years ago. So yeah, maybe they could include it more.
It kind of comes back to creating that safe space, doesn't it? Yeah. Sorry, Jay and Vi, I know you've had your hand up, and so I'll go back over.
No biggie. It's all good, Stephen. I just wanted to hand it up over to Jay, only because she's been a part of a kaupapa that's phenomenal in regards to this kind of stuff. So, kia koe te rākau, Jay.
So I'm a part of this leadership program. So it's called Tū Rangatahi. So every holiday, it's kind of like a holiday program, but it's like a fun, safe space. We can talk about how we feel, and kōrero tahi. We do kōrero tahi every night. And
what's kōrero tahi?
Kōrero tahi is just when we all sit in the whare, get in a circle, and then there'll be questions. You just answer them, then you can tell everyone how you feel, and there's no judgment, just pure kōrero.
And I guess it's also a kaupapa Māori framework too, or kaupapa that you're a part of,
Yeah, and we create our own uara, our own rules. So instead of like, don't do that, we just say it in a positive way. So it's kind of good.
Yeah, in regards to bullying, what do you cover on the program?
Well, just manaakitanga. We really just learn about how to take care of one another, and
it's a role model day.
Yeah, how to be a leader and with kindness, I guess.
Don't let me put.
And just to, just to pick up, like they do such phenomenal things as well on this program. Like they've just come back from Queenstown. It's not just like a little like kick it in your hometown, and sometimes it is, but they, there's educational aspects to it as well. But having them at the forefront of that kaupapa, leading, being po, and supported and guided rather than being told, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, because it's like rangatahi driven.
Yeah,
basically.
So bullying's not really present.
Yeah, there's not much bullying that goes on there because it's all aroha, and we can all tell each other how we feel. That comes back to the safe space thing that we were talking about as well.
Don't let me put words in your mouth, but when you're talking about being able to sit down with these groups, I think it kind of comes back again to that safe space. Like you guys, it sounds like you guys have, you don't have like one space you could go, like a guidance counselor. You guys are the safe space, and it goes with you wherever it is. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Some things.
I just got the second question here, and it's very similar to the first one. And I might actually go to you, Matt, after I've read it out. But what steps or changes are needed to reduce the number of people experiencing workplace bullying? So very similar, but slightly different.
No, it's a great question. As I was thinking about it during the week, my mind sort of went two different ways on it, and so I think one path that we have to take is sort of education, giving people the language to talk about it. And so what do I mean by that? The mental health space in the last 5 years has been really interesting, and the general population have gotten a lot more language to talk about my own mental health, thriving, surviving, and all of that. Tackle a subject that was hard to talk about 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so I think we need something similar in the bullying space, where people know what bullying is, that it's this repeated thing where there's a difference in power. They know what it looks like, and then they also have the language to call it out, to say, oh, hang on, this is this, and this. I think this is bullying, and that's not all right. So I think that sits on one side. The other side, it kind of comes back to the systems thing. And so how do you ensure that anyone in your organization has a voice, has a path? It's kind of similar to that safe space for Karo, where, okay, I might be a frontline employee, but I might be very different to my line manager, supervisor, whatever. And if I don't feel comfortable telling them that I'm being bullied, do I have something else? I know some organizations have health and safety applications that you can report the normal health and safety nonsense, risks and hazards around the office or work site. But a lot of them are now sort of using that as a system to report bullying and ensure that there's process wrapped up into that. Someone will definitely see that. They can see a note that, oh, it's not appropriate to talk to that person's manager, they'll talk to someone else. And so I think that's very early on in its stage, but that is hopefully somewhere where we'll grow and it'll just become a tighter structure that means that anyone is welcome to be their own self, who they are. They don't have to pretend to be someone at work. They bring who they are and they're safe in that space and they're included. Yeah, I think that is sort of my two main thoughts on that.
That's great. Probably we are running a little bit short of time, sorry, but I just wanted to get your opinions on this, Abby. I think not to target any workplaces, but like you're in your last year of study, going into nursing and things. I know there's some good initiatives coming through in the DHBs and things, but did you have any thoughts on this question?
I think just it's about creating that culture, that awareness. And I don't think it matters whether you're in school, in the workplace, in a youth group, with your friends in the community. Like it's relevant in all those places. I think, Hamish, you might have mentioned earlier about often it's those who are bullying are experiencing a lot themselves, and that could that is often a leading factor into why they are treating people the way that they are. And I think we should look at the consequences of bullying, and instead of just I know in schools often you might get stood down, suspended for a few days. In the workplace there might be some, I'm not sure what the repercussions will probably vary depending on the workplace, but instead of just looking at it as a consequence for an action, think of how we can actually support the person and find out what it is that they're going through that's actually leading to this, and how can we fix that root cause. How can we address that? I think that's probably key.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, everyone. So just looking at the time, I think this kind of concludes our panel discussion for this evening. So yeah, I've had a great time listening to you all. It's been a really great discussion. I wish we did have more time. we could go on and on. I think we've raised some big issues, and I just wanted to go around as a final thing and just get some final thoughts to wrap up the discussion before we close off. So I might jump to you, Hamish.
Yeah, I think that my final thoughts are just that I don't think most people feel like they are doing harm in their day-to-day life. And it does go back to what I was talking about before, is that hurt people, and that we have a significant amount of issues which are contributing to bullying. And these are systemic issues. And if we can't deal with them, then we're going to continue to deal with this on the symptomatic level, on the surface level. And we need to deal with that too, but we also need to deal with the systems behind it. But thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Abby, do you have any thoughts? Just closing.
Yeah, I think it comes down, I'm so big on like valuing young people in these conversations, giving them a seat at the table, New Zealand is a really unique place, and I think if we're wanting to make a change here in New Zealand, we need to be talking to the young people here who actually know what it's like to be a young person in New Zealand. I think that's so important, and I would love for more organisations to recognise the contributions that young people can actually make. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Hannah, did you have any final thoughts, or before we close off?
Not really, but I definitely think that home life could affect a bullying person bullying someone, and also generations, because if you go back to someone's great grandfather who might have had someone, the granddad might have been bullied, and then the great granddad would have just been like, oh, it's fine, and then it had just been passed down from generation to generation, and then no one's getting that support from home, then I guess it makes it harder for them because they're not getting the right support.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you, Hannah. V?
Kia ora. Look, I think what I want to say is whānau, it starts from us. It starts at home. It starts by looking internally. And we all have our bit to do. I read a little comment on the LinkedIn promos that you guys had pushed out, and somebody said, Matthew Kione, I think. So if you're watching Matthew, kia ora. He said something that it starts with us and we need to start to change as well, something along those lines. So it starts at home, like we need to be teaching our tamariki, our tai tamariki in our next generation. So starts from home. Do better.
Jason?
Yeah, just tautoko what Pai said. I'm just going to go back to my quote. Anaki te tangata aha kua kowai. Care for everyone, no matter who they are. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Thank you for having me.
And Matt as well. Final thoughts?
I'm gutted that Jay went before me because I was going to come back to that whakatauki. I think that's what it is. It is care for all, no matter who they are. Hearing Jay and Hannah tonight, man, I'm optimistic about the future. Our young people are fantastic, and they will lead the way for us in this space. So yeah, kia ora. Been nice to be here.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you again to everyone for coming, and especially to our panel. Again, just your thoughts were amazing, and we should be doing this every week. Again, just we had another panel discussion on Tuesday. I'm just going to push that again. It was really great as well to hear different perspectives. I'm sure Anya would agree here, but I think it's going to be really cool to kind of go back and compare the two discussions. Well, that concludes us for tonight. Before everyone heads off, Jason's going to do a karakia for us. So thank you, Jason.
Kia ora, Stephen. Hei whakakapi I tēnei hui. E te atua whakatuwhiratia mai ngā kuaha o te tika, o te pono, o te māramatanga ki a mātou I tēnei po māmatai koe e whakamoimuti, e whakakororia ki tā ingoa tapu. Āmine.
Āmine.
Kia ora.
Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. So, yeah.